Hey everyone, Ekman here with another video, and today we've got a top 16 breakdown for the Play TCG Mesquite Regionals that happened in person this past weekend. They had over 100 players with this top 16 that we'll go over here today. And a couple of things before we get started. First, if you guys are new to the channel, please make sure to hit that like and subscribe. We make a lot of Fusion World content, especially with the new Star decks coming out next week, I believe. And then the end of the month, we have the new expansion booster 2, or the manga collection. So it should be a lot of content. I'm really looking forward to it. Also, if you guys want any of the deck lists for this event and many others, you can check out my website, Eggman Events, which is linked in the description. We go over a lot of the larger events. We also have some community deck lists, my own deck list too, and it's a really good resource for anyone trying to get into the game as well. So make sure to check that out if you haven't already, and let's just jump on into it. So this was an event June 1st, 2025. Play TCG ran it 7 rounds of Swiss best of 142 players, and it was live streamed. There is a link to the Twitch in the description as well as on the page as well. And of that top 16, we did have 5 copies of the FB02 Vegeta, 3 copies of FB03 Goku, 3 of the Majin Buu Evil, and then singles of Aandroidd 17, Broly BR, Son Goku GT, the Vegeta Mini, as well as the Bardock. So really surprising to see no red in this top cut. I do know that it did very well in the previous event, with Jiren being very strong. Seeing this much Vegeta is also very interesting, and to see, honestly, 75% of the meta, or at least top cut for this one, being Vegeta, Goku, the Evil, and the 17-18 is not too surprising. I would definitely say those are 4 of the strongest decks right now. I think the other 5th in contention is the Vegeta Mini, which did a little bit worse compared to, I think, other weeks right now. Then there's also the Broly, which I think has been consistently getting like 1 top in a top 16 the last little bit. And then the Goku GT and the Bardock are both lists that I'm excited to kind of go over. I know a lot of people were excited for Gogeta with the new 6-drop, but I think these other decks kind of just take advantage of the card a little bit better, which is cool that it gets to see some play, but still a little bit sad that the Gogeta leader just doesn't see as much play right now too. So we are going to go over the top placing list for each one of these leaders, starting off with our first place list, which is Vista's version of Aandroidd 17. So this winning the event is a little bit surprising to me. It hasn't been doing, like, I think, super well, but I also do wonder if it's just people not kind of going back to, a set 1 leader when we do have some kind of newer cards to go with. I know a lot of people were really excited about the Broly BR secret rare, and obviously it works really well in its original deck, right? The Broly BR deck, which we'll talk about in a minute, but also using this in Androids just makes a lot of sense because we just generally get to 9 energy pretty quick, and the payoff is really, really nice. So some ways that we can also help do that, obviously we have the 17 and 18. I know that we can also use like Earth Destroying Blow to be able to ramp once we're at 6 energy, which is really great too, to not only defensively get out of attacks, but also to be able to ramp as well. We're using Nappa to like aggressively ramp 2 and be able to go down to lower life totals, and then we do have kind of the rest of these generic package. So one card that I kind of see a little bit more often in Aandroidd 17 that we don't see in this one is specifically the 7-drop Secret Rare Goku, the double strike that can become a 3 cost. Generally speaking, I feel like that's kind of like one of the better ways to go for game, but 17-18 is still a really good card, and I think there are just some decks that play a lot of cards that get hit by this. So I think, a 40k double strike that is also, mildly searchable with the, Aandroidd 20 here is really nice. We do also have just like a bunch of hard card draw. We also have 1-drop Bulma, and also the Hercule engine to be able to get some more, counter into the late game by paying 2. We get kind of 2 10Ks, which is really nice, at least best case there, and then kind of the rest of the deck. So we are playing a lot of vanillas with the Aandroidd 18 as well as the Aandroidd 17, just to have some more 10Ks for us that are searchable, having more androids to put into our energy, and it seems like a really solid list, right? I think that this seems nothing too exciting, but that doesn't have to mean anything. I think that this was a strong build. I think Vista is a very strong player as well, a very seasoned Bandai player as well, and congratulations to their first place with Aandroidd 17. Next up, we've got Vegeta, and we've got Fash's build of the deck, and I haven't seen Fash in a minute, but it's really cool to see him get a 2nd place finish at this event too. Was in the final spoilers and did not get 1st place in that game, but I do think that Vegeta was in a really good spot. I also think that there's kind of like it's slowly getting better in this meta. I think generally speaking, making the deck is something where it's a little bit more defensive and something that really needs to kind of answer what the meta does. And so because of that, it's been getting slowly better as people kind of figure out what the meta needs and what your answers need to be. So I think that's what helps this deck be really relevant and continues to be relevant in the next little bit. So obviously we just have like a bunch of cantrips and ways to get some card value. We have like Janemba here to be able to get that additional awakening. We do kind of want to be at 4 on our own terms, right, to be able to start using our energy 2 effect. We do have a good top end of like the Frieza as well as the golden Frieza secret rares, and then the I really do like this Vegeta mini Daima card. This card like just makes your opponent kind of have to answer it. Otherwise you get to see like another 30k double every turn, which is kind of obnoxious. So but I also think it like immediately gets value, and then we just have a bunch of extras as well. So Fierce Hyper Beam and energy absorption to be able to get some additional cycle, and also being able to get some stun on some cards that we can't remove otherwise. Time Rewound is still very good. Results of Training is amazing and kind of what this deck was really needing. And then we have Hell Rakshasa and Blue Power Awakening, which this card obviously is a great way to answer Broly a lot of the time, but you don't mind having a 2 cost plus 25k defensively, and I think all of that's just very, very good. So here's Fash's build. I also kind of want to go over Dane's build real quick too, just because it's a little bit different. Dane's a very positively stubborn person, which I think is great. He has a lot of deck building choices that he stands by, and he's really passionate about it. And so the ones for this one specifically are kind of like more of the OG package for Vegeta, right? We have the OG 1-drop Bulma, which I don't see this card as much, but this being like Yellow's way to awaken for 1 is really, really nice. So that's strong. We also are playing the 3-drop Vegeta, being able to use this to add up to 1 card as well, but also being able to prevent being KO'd by, as long as the card is rested. Including itself is really, really nice, so that protection is great. And then we also are playing 4 copies of the 3-drop Barrier Boo, which is the maximum amount of copies. This is definitely a card that I theorycraft being well, just because like it means that you always have like a target for this Results of Training, which is really nice. My conclusion is that this card almost always draws 1 anyways. Like it's very rare for you not to have that kind of condition met, so you're fine anyways. But Majin Buu being able to just get that advantage every turn, just get a 25k every turn throughout the game, does add up, I think, very quickly. So I think that's really important. So other than that, I think the decks are pretty similar, right? A little bit less of like the 1-drop draws, but we do have the Bulma. This does draw us a card. Sometimes it's a draw 2, which is really, really nice. We have kind of the same event lineup. We also do have the Dazzling Onslaught, being able to get a 25k for technically 1 energy, as long as you play 2 first, is really nice. And then still this card's been getting a lot of value. I've been seeing a lot of people have been just saying like this card is insane, being able to get the plus 25k, and it's been working out very well for Vegeta. So I don't really have much more to say about this deck. I think that it's in a really good spot right now. And, there's a couple other builds of Vegeta you guys can check out too. But by and large, I think this is a really good meta contender right now. So congratulations to Fash and Dane and all the rest of our Vegeta players who got a top this weekend. So there we go. Next up, we've got Gabriel with their version of the Son Goku. And I'm not going to stand on this deck for too long because it's generally not much different, right? I didn't go back and check, but I wouldn't be surprised if this exact 50 had top already in this meta. It's just in a very known list, a very known quantity for how your cards work. There's a little bit of tech room for a couple things, but I think like the newest card is like, we add like 1 copy of this card because it works really, really well with our Final Hope Slash. For 6 energy, we have a 75k double, which is just an absurd amount of pressure in this game, especially since this deck is so good at like whittling your opponent down to 2, and then you can just kind of go all out with it. So I think this deck is in a really good spot still. Obviously, a lot of people don't like it in this meta. I'll be honest, I'm one of them. I think this deck needs to be changed, or like the value engine kind of needs to change, because it's just like a little bit too, it's too efficient in my mind, and too the fact that most of your key pieces can be found off Pilaf or Vidal is an issue, I think, in my mind. It's just too flexible for what it does. So not much more to say. I do say that it does take a lot, a good pilot to go well with this, and I think Gabriel is definitely that. So congratulations for their finish with Son Goku, and we'll see if it does get hit in the restriction list that they announced at the end of the month. So there we go. Next up, we got Broly BR. So this is Vick's version of the deck here, and Vick's always been very adamant about making a non-1718 green deck very viable. I know that he played a lot of the Namek Goku in FB05. I think that Broly BR is kind of like the natural evolution of kind of that play style of like, I'm just going to be able to, like, I play differently. I play, you know, my life game is a little bit aggressive. I'm a little bit hard to kill. I try to make these really big bodies and try to push out for advantage. And then like I can kind of get either like decked out or just like run out of steam at the end of the game if I can't get my combo right. So I know a lot of people at the beginning of this meta were very scared about how present Broly BR was. It's something that I think still like gatekeeps this game right now, where if you have a good matchup into Broly BR, you have a chance to really do well in this meta, and then if not, like this deck can just kind of stomp on you. I think like it's just like a solid like tier 1.5 deck. If I was trying to rank where it's at, I think the deck is still very good. I think a lot of decks that have already been established just kind of have ways to answer Broly without, you know, changing too much of their game plan as it is. But if this deck's able to go off and use its effects, then it's a very, very strong deck. So, you know, we have our ratios of our 8 drops of 4 copies of this one and 3 copies of the Star Deck one, 2 of the Secret Rare, which, you know, it's actually kind of hard for us to be able to actually play this card, I think, in a lot of situations where it makes sense, but if we're able to get 2, we can. I know a lot of people are playing like a little bit more removal right now, like the Rampage control. Being able to use this card to, you know, be a plus 25k for 1 is nice, as well as the Shuddering Roar. I know a lot of people are playing this to, you know, just get some, give us something to do when we are on our turn before we go off. And the full power, this card can be very devastating if your opponent goes really aggressive, since we can go down to 2 life very quickly, and then after that, since we heal from our 8-drop Broly and our 9-drop Broly, we can just try to, you know, stabilize from there, which can be very strong. So I don't have much more to say. I think, you know, Vick's a very good green player. He's been, you know, on this grind for a long time. Congratulations for the top 4 and for representing the Broly in this event there. So there we go. Next up, you've got Majin Buu Evil. So this is Colt's version of the deck. And I didn't really mention it, but we did have 5 different leaders in the top 5, which I think is really cool to see happen. You know, this, you know, I go through a lot of games and it's usually like, oh, all right, so top 3 is like the same deck kind of thing. So to see like such diversity, I think is really, really cool. Even if some of the decks are ones that I think have maybe overstayed their welcome just a little bit, having a lot of other decks contend at the same spot, I think is cool. So Majin Buu Evil, though, I don't have really much more to say about this guy. It's been very strong. People know how it works. It gets a lot of value. The fact that it really like depends if Majin Buu Evil sees like Babidi on 3 and Babidi on 5, they kind of win in a lot of situations, unless you're just like hard countering what they do. This deck is just really good at making sure that your opponent has a low hand size, while also just kind of hitting you with 20 and 30k attacks that you kind of have to respect at the same time. So this deck is rough. I know that a lot of people want something hit from this one in particular. I know like 3-drop Babidi or 3-drop Buu, or probably the Majin Buu Kid are the ones that a lot of people are talking about, and those are ones I kind of agree with as well. But I think this also still, there's a lot of sequencing for this too. I know a lot of people are playing a little bit of counterplay for it. I think like the energy absorption has been kind of added back in, or I also see like people play results of training in this deck too, just because like it doesn't happen as much, but you know, you can either get an energy back or, you know, attack again. So sometimes that extra energy to be able to get like sometimes like just a draw 1 off of one of your cantrips, or also just being able to like stun something for a turn, those can just be very, very valuable as well. So I don't have much more to say though. Colt 45, congratulations for their finish there with the Majin Buu. And then next up, we've got the Son Goku GT. So this is the build here from Champagne Hati. And, you know, a lot of people have been trying to get, you know, black to be relevant, right? And, you know, so we're almost a year past where FB03 is, right? FB03 came out in August of 2024. And still, it seems like 2 of the better leaders are Son Goku GT and Bardock, which both came out in that kind of first wave of stuff. So, and like really, it's just like the original package of like, you know, our Black Saiyans, right? Where we have our like GT Saiyans, I guess, too, where we just try to generate our marker. Like this 3-drop Bardock still gets a lot of value, especially in Son Goku GT, because we can make it a 35k by using the energy marker effect on it. Son Goku GT is just still like the best card this deck and, you know, this color sees, and you hope you establish it, and if you do and your opponent can answer it, you win the game. Otherwise, you just can't, and then it's just kind of like a brick in your hand. Great 8 Baby is really good at you know, getting some removal in a deck that doesn't really have as much outside outside of like the 10 times Kamehameha. We are playing the 6-drop Gogeta, which I do think this card is really, really good for the deck. And I've really wanted to go back in time. In spoilers, when we look at the Bardock deck, we're going to look at some stuff, and I've been trying to make that deck work personally as well. So it's really cool to see it get a top 16. But this has like the potential to really mess with yellow in particular. Just make it so that they can't use like their leader attacks more than once, or also like it just makes sure that like 6-drop Vegeta just cannot untap energy if this card is on the board too, which is just an absurd thing. Like the fact that it just fully negates a leader skill like that is really, really strong. So unfortunately, they have a lot of ways to get rid of this. Like the Blue Power Awakening is just a great way to get rid of that. But if this card survives, otherwise you're in a good spot. So I don't know. I feel like GT is just like, it tries to do kind of like the similar thing that Blue Lits to do, but it's a little bit more fair. You do get like a little bit of like ramp because you can get the marker, so you can play something more consistently, especially if you go first and you play like Kakarot. So I don't know. I think this is a really cool build. This is a really personal build because you see like a lot of like 1 and 2 ratios too. And I feel like black has like the ability to like counter any deck in the meta, but it's just you have to kind of pinpoint it so much. It's difficult when the meta is a little bit wider. So here's the build here from Hadi, and congratulations for their top 16 with Son Goku GT. Next up, we've got Vegeta Mini Daima, which I know this deck did really well and was really popular at the beginning of this format, specifically because the introduction of the Vegeta Mini Daima promo, as well as the 5-drop from FB06. Both these cards are very, very strong and are leader locked essentially to Vegeta Mini Daima, but when you get to use these effects, they're just great. Draw 3 is just an amazing skill, and if your opponent doesn't get rid of this, the fact that once per turn you get rid of a 1 or less, it means like if they let it survive, you can play 5-drop next turn, and you can just attack with the 4-drop and get rid of something too, which is just strong in this meta. So I do think that this deck has been it's been waning a little bit as we've been going through the weeks. I think a lot of people are just kind of deciding that like FB03 Goku is just maybe the better deck in a lot of ways. I do think that Pilaf is a great way to get value in this deck. Is that crazy to say, right? But it's been still just a very consistent card. I do like the addition of like the Goku Black in this deck, specifically because this can get you like the 4-drop Vegeta Mini Daima back and get some good recursion. We have the double strike with the Son Goku Childhood, which you can still use with the Final Hope Splash or the Gallic Gun. Gallic Gun just makes you a 65 draw 2 versus like Final Hope Splash, which makes you a 75k. Which is the same as like, oh, if you do 2 5Ks, then like the Gallic Gun did the same thing. So obviously like you can like high roll but low roll that lower. And the other thing is I've been seeing a lot of people play this 3-drop Beerus as like a way to kind of interact with some cards cheaply. So when attacking KO one of your other battle cards, choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards and return it to its owner's hand. So even just getting like the tempo back, like the fact that this isn't cost restricted is really, really strong. And even if it was, we'd have ways to like reduce the cost with this deck. But I do like this deck. I like that it's like a different version of Blue that it has a lot of the same card like engine, like with Pilaf and 1-drop Earthling stuff, but it has its own way to kind of set itself apart, and just being kind of like the removal deck for Blue is really, really cool. So this is the build here from Triple D, and congratulations for their finish there. And to wrap it up, we've got Bardock. So this is PushPullHoss with the build here, and this is sincerely one that I've been really theory crafting in my mind of just like, what if we played Bardock and it was like a little bit slower, a little bit more like grind value version, and kind of what does that look like, right? I think a lot of people have played like Bardock, and like the idea is like, oh, we have to awaken as soon as possible, and I may be just interpreting this the way that I want to be built and not the way that they played it. But I think that with the idea that this deck can take advantage of 6-drop Gogeta is very good. The fact that we are a 25k attack and sometimes additional draw 1 with this deck is really great for being able to get that value, right? We're only playing 6 of the Bardock's crew that we can combo with, because the other one is the 3-drop Bardock, the 5-drop Bardock, which we're playing 3 copies of, which is almost the maximum about it. But this crit one is pretty good too. The fact that it's also 5k, so you can, if you don't need the attack with it, you can use Bardock to attack there. But also just the fact, like, even if you never hit the effect every turn, the fact that you get to kind of draw or use the effect before you draw. So for example, you can attack with like, let's say like a Gloria, you can attack with it, use the leader effects to the top card of your deck. Do you like it? No? Cool. Well, then I'm going to put it at the bottom of my deck, and then I'm going to draw with the Bardock effect and get that, better knowledge. So I think that's something that's very strong for us. The fact that this can, 25k leaders are very good. I think against across the board, just because it can kind of make it so your opponent needs to answer, especially because with proper timing, this is going to be like a 30k like once or twice throughout the game, which is strong too. And it's been cool to see Bardock top to the point where I really want to test it out the next time I do on this Friday's Fusion World Friday, just to see if I can make it work or be happy with the build too. So I don't have much more to say. Obviously, again, it's running more of like the traditional FB03 cards with a little bit of spice here and there, but I think this deck can be very viable, and it's cool to see that top 16. So congratulations to Hoss for their finish there. And that's going to be it for us. So again, if you guys want to see any of the deck lists for this event or many others in this meta, you can find them again on my website, Eggman Events. Looking forward to the end of this format, as well as the new star decks and the manga booster, which we'll get throughout the course of this month. And we have our restriction list at the end of June, beginning of July as well. So that's going to be it for me. Thank you for watching, and we'll catch you all next time.